I'm Cher, the Shadow Walker, and I'm taking a look at spirits, ghosts, entities, and apparitions over the past 48 hours in the Midwest of the United States and in Canada. And we're going to start with Manitoba, Canada. And on March 26th at 11:15 p.m., a family of four at a Transcona, Winnipeg residence, all electronics in the kitchen turned on simultaneously. Sound of a child running in the hallway, and they reported it to the Winnipeg Paranormal Society. And on March 26th at 3:04 a.m., a homeowner on a rural property near Lockport, a shimmering figure seen standing in the backyard by the wood line, moved through the locked gate, and they reported it to the local community watch. March 25th at 8:20 p.m., one resident in an apartment in Osborne Village, report of heavy breathing heard in the closet, and it's a walk-in closet, and the smell of wet earth, and they reported it to a private researcher. And that is it for that one. Next, we're taking a look at Saskatchewan, and over the last 48 hours on March 26th at 3:10 a.m., two local residents in their home, it's a private bungalow in Prince Albert, sensation of static in the air, followed by a clear sound of a child laughing in the kitchen. Objects on the counter were found rearranged, and they reported it to the Saskatchewan Paranormal Society. And on March 26th at 11:45 p.m., one homeowner in a rural farmhouse in St. Louis, a visual of a lantern light bobbing across a private yard vanished when approached. No tracks found on the fresh frost. They reported it to the local community forum. And on March 25th at 9:20 p.m., three family members in a historic house in Moose Jaw, all second floor interior doors opened and closed in unison 3 times, distinct smell of cigar smoke in the hallway, and they reported it to the YQR haunts. And that would happen in my house when I lived in Ontario in St. Thomas, and that was Frederick that did that. And I cleared him. On March 26th at 1:15 p.m., a resident just in a basement suite in Saskatoon, seen a shadow mass was seen peeling itself off the wall and moving into the furnace room. Extreme cold spot recorded at 8 Celsius, and they reported it to the Saskatoon Paranormal Researchers. March 25th at 10 p.m., well, actually, it was almost 10:50 p.m., two tenants in an apartment in Regina. It was a cathedral area. Reports of a phantom knocking on the bedroom door, 3 distinct raps, that's the trilogy, reoccurring every 20 minutes for 2 hours. And they reported it to building management. And on March 27th at 4:30 a.m., a homeowner in Weyburn, private property, woke to find an elderly man in a dark suit standing at the foot of the bed. The entity tipped its hat and faded out. And that's the Heritage. They reported it to the Heritage Village Outreach. So now we're in Alberta, and on March 26th in Alberta, in the Drumheller area, that's where I am, at 2:45 a.m. in the morning, two residents in a private home on 3rd Avenue East in Drumheller, a clear disembodied male voice whispering, "Check out the downstairs." And that was heard near the basement door, and there was a thermal drop of 9 Celsius. And they reported it to the Calgary Ghost Hunters. And on March 26th at 10:50 p.m., a homeowner near Poco, it's a farmhouse, a visual of a shadow man sitting at the kitchen table. The entity remained visible for 5 seconds after the lights were turned on, and they reported to the Alberta Paranormal Forum. And on March 25th at 9:15 p.m., a resident in a basement suite in Strathcona, that's near Edmonton, sensation of being poked on the shoulder while in the kitchen multiple times. And multiple cold spots were detected moving through the hallway. And they reported it to the local investigator log. On March 26th at 3:30 a.m., a family of 3 in a private residence near High River in the Mystic Manor vicinity, whistling sound heard through baby monitor, a distinct growl captured on the home security camera in the living room. And they reported it to the Mystic Manor Private Research. That one there needs a clearing, people. And it needs to be done by a shaman, and the exterior needs to be done first. So the grounds. On March 27th at 1:10 a.m., a homeowner near Red Deer had acreage. So reports of an elderly woman looking through the glass patio doors from the outside, no tracks found in the frost the next morning, and they reported it to Central Alberta Paranormal. That would be an interesting one. And on March 26th at 11:20 p.m., 2 roommates in Calgary in a historic apartment in Beltline area, heavy furniture and bookshelf was found moved 4 inches away from the wall. The smell of old-fashioned tobacco present, and they reported it to the building manager and the private file. So we're taking a look at the beautiful state of Minnesota over the last 48 hours. On March 26th at 3:20 a.m., a homeowner in a historic home in Stillwater, the sound of a heavy trunk being dragged across the attic floor. The attic was empty, and they reported it to the Stillwater Ghost Society. And on March 26th at 1:10 a.m., 2 tenants in a duplex in the Power Horn Parks area, a woman seen in white standing in a nursery, and then she vanished when the baby started crying, and reported it to the Twin Cities Paranormal Society. On March 27th at 4:50 a.m., a resident in a rural home in Sakuts Rapids found all the cupboard doors in the kitchen open and a humming sound being heard near the sink, and they reported it to a private investigator's log. On March 26th at 11:30 p.m., a driver near a private residence near Henderson, high-pitched shrieking vibration of metal of the car near the property line. And they reported it to the Henderson's Community Forum. So the metal was vibrating from what I can gather there. I'm going down in the notes on that one. And on March 25th at 10:05 a.m., 2 residents in North Minneapolis set a private home. Heavy footsteps heard on the second floor, lights flickering in a specific 3-flash pattern. And they reported it to the Twin City Paranormal Society. And on March 26th at 9:45 p.m., 3 people in a Victorian home in Winona, the smell of wet wool and old tobacco in the parlor. A shadow was seen sitting in the rocking chair, and they reported to the Bruce Cruise local log. Now we're taking a look at the United States. So in North Dakota, the state, over the last 48 hours on March 26th at 11:40 p.m., a homeowner in a private residence near Walhalla saw a white lady and a ghost dog standing in the driveway. Engine of the witness's truck stalled simultaneously when that was seen, and they reported it to the White Lady Lane Archive. So that's quite common down there, I guess, to see her. On March 26th at 2:15 a.m., 2 tenants in Fargo in an apartment in the downtown area sound of a manual typewriter clicking rapidly in an empty room, smell of expensive cigar smoke despite no one smoking in that building, and they reported it to the management of the building. And on March 25th at 8:30 p.m., a family of four in a farmhouse near Mandan report seeing an entity slapping the exterior of the house. Oh, so it wasn't seen. Sorry, let me correct that. Reports of an unseen entity slapping the exterior of the house. Thermal imaging showed a human shadow, cold spots on the siding. And they reported it to the Mandan Community Portal, and the property there would need to be cleared, not the house. On March 26th at 10:05 p.m., a resident in a home near Dickinson, it gives me the 345 Sims area, visual of an elderly man walking through the living room towards the basement. The witness felt intense, heavy atmosphere, and they reported it to the North Dakota Paranormal Group. On March 27th at 3:45 a.m., so this morning, a homeowner in Jamestown, this is a residential property, witness reported their kitchen cabinets being found wide open, a shuffling sound heard moving towards the back door, and they reported it to the local police. Well, they don't really need the police for that, but again, the grounds needs to be cleared, and check out for whatever you've brought into that home lately. On March 26th, 12:20 a.m., three roommates in a historic house in Grand Forks. A child-sized shadow was seen standing at the top of the stairs. Bedroom lights flickered off and on 3 times, and they reported it to the University Ghost Hunters. Next, we're taking a look at the state of Ohio in the last 48 hours. So on March 26th at 11:30, a homeowner in a private residence near Franklin Boulevard in Cleveland, a sequence of heavy doors upstairs slamming one after another, and the internal temperature dropped to 11 Celsius. And that was reported to the Cleveland Paranormal Researchers Group. On March 26th at 2 a.m., one resident in a historic row house in the Bel Air area, a visual of a slooty figure emerging from an old hearth. The entity crawled toward the cellar door and vanished. And that's the Bel Air house. And they reported as a private file. This is a historic house. That entity that they seen, that needs to be cleared. Start with the outside, work your way in, and the stone will cause you issues. On March 25th at 10:40 p.m., three family members in the suburban home in Kent, multiple televisions switched to static simultaneously, and a metallic scraping sound was heard on the walls, and they reported it to the private log and tech support. On March 26th at 4:15 a.m., a homeowner in a private residence in Mansfield seen a shadow figure standing over the bed. Witness reported static charge so strong that their hair stood up. And the Ohio Exploration Society is who it was reported to. Yes, that would be a little bit unnerving to have your hair stand up. And on March 27th at 1:50 a.m., two tenants in a duplex, it's a historic duplex in Drayton in the Oregon district, heavy sound of objects described as a trunk being dragged across the floor in an empty unit, and that was in the upstairs. And they reported it to the building owner. And on March 25th at 8:15 p.m., a resident in an acreage near Millsburg, a jingling sound familiar to a dog's collar heard in the kitchen. No pets are owned by the tenants. And they reported it to haunted rooms. Aw, that's so cute. The dog came back. I'd like to say thank you to everybody for listening. Have a wonderful day. And if you're having trouble with ghosts, in your home, you can email me and I can help you as best I can from here. Thank you so much. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful day. And remember, it's free, and my help is too, to private homeowners. Thank you.